What's going on, everybody? So now that the football season is here, I can officially say that we will now have Browns After Dark Sunday night, Monday night, and if that is not enough for you, we got another one on Thursday. So if you've ever said to yourself, hey, I wonder where I can meet with people and talk about the Browns, that is the place for you. Check us out at Browns After Dark on Twitter. The link will be in the description down below. Times will also be posted on that Twitter page, so be sure to give us a follow, turn on your notifications, and come let us know what you think. We want to know your thoughts, so I'm looking forward to seeing you there. Okay, so I have committed the worst crime you can commit in mankind, and that is not agreeing with the overwhelming public opinion on Twitter. So given the fact that this is my only platform where I can actually speak and share my thoughts and why I feel the way I do and not be interrupted or cut off or kicked from a space, I'm going to do this here, right? So I want to be clear. My goal here is to not change anybody's opinion, right? I'm allowed to have my opinion. You're allowed to have yours. I'm not going to try to change your opinion. My goal here is just to share my perspective. If you agree with it, cool. If you don't, that's fine. That's completely fine. I understand that I am in the vast minority with my opinion here. So I want to explain this in a couple different ways. So just overall, let's talk about the trade itself. So the Cleveland Browns have traded pick 42 to the New York Jets and get in return wide receiver Elijah Moore and pick 74 in the third round. So the Browns essentially just moved back a few spots and got Elijah Moore, is basically what this is. So as a whole, when you just look at it from that perspective of the trade, the Injure Berry absolutely fleeced the New York Jets. Like, it's crazy that this happened, right? For what it went for, because you're literally moving back some spots and gaining a really, really good number 2 receiver. That's awesome, right? I don't have a problem with that, right? I think Elijah Moore is a very, very good receiver who was on an awful team with awful quarterback play, who didn't use him in the right scheme, in the right style he should have been used in. So, listen, what I'm about to say is nothing against Elijah Moore. I think he's fantastic. I think he's a really, really good addition. And I think he's going to be a really, really good number 2, right? So what I'm going to say, it's nothing against Elijah Moore, right? But here's my problem with this trade. So, in my opinion, and again, it is my opinion, I'm not claiming it as factual, the Browns had an opportunity to go out and trade for Amari Cooper's replacement to be their number 1 receiver, a guy who's 6'1", he's very fast, he's one of the best route runners in the league, he's young, and he is on the market. They had the opportunity to grab a number 1 receiver, and they essentially punted on that decision and went with a really good number 2 receiver. That's my problem here. My problem, just putting it in the simplest way, is the Browns had a chance to get their Amari Cooper replacement in a number 1 receiver, and they kicked the can down the road yet again. And it is so damn frustrating to me, because this is something that I've been pounding the table year after year after year now. The Browns have got to find long-term solutions at wide receiver. Now, I know what you're saying. You're probably saying, well, Elijah Moore is a long-term solution at wide receiver, and you'd be correct. You would be correct. I think Elijah Moore, again, is a great number 2 for the Cleveland Browns long-term. But here's my problem. Again, looking at the roster, right? For next season, for this upcoming season, for the Cleveland Browns, the wide receiver room is really, really good. Because you're looking at a combination of Amari Cooper, DPJ, Elijah Moore, David Bell, draft pick, Michael Woods, right? Who knows if they'll sign somebody? I would like them to. I would still like them to get a cheap vet. That would be great. But next year, it's fine. Next year is really, really good. Here's my problem. You went out, whether if we like it or not, your opinion on the matter does not factor in, right? Regardless of what your thoughts are on it, the Browns have Deshaun Watson for the next 5 years at least, right? And he's going to be here longer than that, but for now, under contract 5 years. And the problem that I have is when you look at the history of Deshaun Watson in Houston, every time he had a good receiver, they were quickly out the door, right? DeAndre Hopkins, Brandon Cooks, Will Fuller. He was never really given a guy as a number one receiver to, go with long term. And again, I'm not saying Will Fuller is that guy, but Brandon Cooks and DeAndre Hopkins out the door fast. And the Browns, in making this trade, have punted, like I said, on the decision to bring in a number one receiver in Jerry Jeudy. And I think that is a big, big mistake because this organization has shown you they cannot draft wide receivers. I have zero confidence in the Cleveland Browns drafting wide receivers right now. And I don't think anybody who is a Browns fan should have confidence in them drafting wide receivers. Until they show you otherwise, it's really, really hard to sit here and be okay with the Browns planning on finding their guys in the third and fourth round at wide receiver. Let me remind you, they picked Anthony Schwartz in the third round, right? And David Bell, I'm not writing him off. I still think David Bell can be a good number 3. But my problem is I think I would have much rather the Browns trade. And again, here's a factor, right? Everybody's talking about what it would take to get Jerry Jeudy. I am of the belief that a second round, that 42 this year and a third round pick next year gets it done. That's my opinion, right? I could be totally wrong. I don't know. I have no inside information as far as like the Denver Broncos and what they're going to accept. I have no idea, right? And if the report came out from Benjamin Albright, who, he's been wrong in the past, so take it with a grain of salt, but he said Greg Newsome and 42. So if that's the case, hell no, not doing that trade. I'm not giving up Greg Newsome for Terry McLaurin, let alone Jerry Jeudy. So yeah, if the trade that Denver wanted was crazy, then no, the Browns should not have done it. But personally, I don't think it was that crazy. I think 42, a third round pick next year, and who knows, maybe like a 5th this year or something like that gets the job done. I would have much rather done that and ensured that you have a number one receiver in Jerry Jeudy versus, because at that point, then the Browns would just have to go out and find number 2s and number 3s, right? And hopefully David Bell can be either a really good 2 or 3 receiver. I'm more confident in the Browns doing that than where they're at right now. And my opinion of where we're at right now is you got currently for the next 2 to 3 years, guaranteed to be here, Elijah Moore, David Bell, and Michael Woods. DPJ is up for contract next year. I 1,000% believe that he's going to price himself out of Cleveland. Look at the year he had last season and imagine that with a full season with Watson. I think his numbers are going to be great. I think he's going to price himself out of Cleveland. I think Donovan Peoples-Jones, as much as I love him, I think he will be gone. So at that point, you're still fine if you have Amari Cooper, Elijah Moore, David Bell, whoever you picked this draft, and, you can fill in the rest with signings, right? That's fine. But what if Amari Cooper walks too? Because the Browns, after next season, Amari Cooper could be gone with DPJ. And then at that point, you're looking at Elijah Moore, David Bell, Michael Woods, and a draft pick, hopefully. That is a major problem. That is a major problem. And I'm not okay with trusting that the Browns are going to be able to fill that hole as far as making sure you hit on a draft pick. I have no confidence. And I want to be clear because this is something that is highly controversial, what I'm saying about Jerry Jeudy. A lot of people are going to comment on this video. People probably have already clicked off because they're pissed. But they're going to comment on this video and say, you don't know what you're talking about. Jerry Jeudy's not a number one receiver. He's overrated. That's what you're hearing a lot of people saying. Now, I have done a lot of film work as far as sitting down and watching film on Jerry Jeudy with time that I don't have. So I really wanted to find out as much about him as I could outside of what I already knew. And let me tell you something. Russell Wilson last year was the worst year of Baker Mayfield level bad. And Jerry Jeudy still produced. He was still really, really good. Now, everybody talks about the drops. Listen, Amari Cooper had more drops than Jerry Jeudy. So, if you're sitting here saying Amari Cooper is a good number one, then I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear it at all. And I tweeted this out. The same people who are saying that Jerry Jeudy's not a number one receiver and is overrated were the same people last offseason who sat there and said that Russell Wilson's going to be great because he's got these weapons to throw to. So, it's crazy to me how people are, because Jerry Jeudy's not a flashy name necessarily. But I'm telling you, whoever gets Jerry Jeudy, you're getting an absolute stud, right? If the Denver Broncos decide to trade him, which I hope they do, because looking at what they had last year, I mean, Russell Wilson was atrocious. And all those receivers suffer in Denver because of him right now. So barring some kind of crazy improvement, you're looking at a rough stat line. And it's not really fair, because quarterback matters. So, again, I just think I don't know. I just don't feel good long-term about this. And I know that's controversial because I'm using the term long-term. And yes, the Browns are all in right now. Andrew Berry has shown with this offseason that he is all in for the next 2 to 3 years at the very least. Because Dalvin Tomlinson's a 4-year deal, Okoronkwo's a 3-year deal, Juan Thornhill's a 3-year deal. Elijah Moore's got 2 years left, but he's going to get extended. You're not going to trade for him if you don't extend him at some point. So every move the Browns made that's critical to this team has shown you that they think the next 2 to 3 years is their window to go all in. And I just feel, personally, as if they really had a unique opportunity here and they went with the better deal versus the better player. And I think it could bite them in the butt. Again, I'm not saying Elijah Moore sucks. Everybody's going to think that I am pointing out the fact that Elijah Moore sucks. That's not what I'm saying at all. Looking at his career stats, 80 receptions, 984 yards. He averages 12.3 over his career as long as 62. He's got 6 touchdowns. So, listen, to me, I guess I don't think Elijah Moore's ceiling is as high as most people. I think he is limited to a really good number 2. And if used correctly, he can be a very, very big impact player. He can. But my problem is with getting a really good number 2, you're still not filling the hole of a number 1. And I know people are going to get caught up in those terms, number 1, number 2, number 3 receiver. But I am just not going to count on the fact that Amari Cooper is going to be here for the next 2 years. Now, this move frees up money to keep Amari Cooper. That's great. And I still think Amari Cooper has a lot of gas in the tank, but that's not something that personally I'm comfortable with. I would much rather have your Amari Cooper replacement and then plan around it. And plus, here's the thing, right? And a lot of you are going to be saying, I'm glad you're not the GM because, this is going to sound crazy. But what if you could trade 42 and a third next year for Jerry Jeudy and also trade a third or a fourth this year for Elijah Moore? What if that was an option? Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe that wasn't an option at all. Who knows? But I don't know. It's frustrating to me. And, I guess this whole trust AB thing has some people so enamored to the point where it's blind trust. And I'm just not going to have blind trust. Listen, AB is the greatest general manager to have when it comes to trades and free agency and managing the cap. But drafting, not so much. And that is what this team really desperately needs right now at receiver, at linebacker, at safety. And I don't know. Personally, I'm not confident at all. So, again, I'm not upset with Elijah Moore. The guy's 22 years old. He's really young. 5'10", 180 pounds. Great receiver out of Ole Miss, right? Highly touted. Was looked at by many as a possible first-round pick. He went right outside the first round at pick, and it doesn't say right here, but I think he was 33, I think. So nevertheless, he's a great player, but pick 34 is where he was picked in the second round by the Jets. So, I don't know. I think a lot of people are looking at this as like this fixes the entire receiver room, where I'm looking at it saying it's one of the solutions. But I think the biggest solution was out there and you didn't go get it. And I have a problem with that, personally. So I'm very happy to have Elijah Moore on the Browns. And I hope people, I know I'm rambling, and I'm literally, just to give you perspective, I'm sitting in my room with the lights off, with my with my computer and a mic, right? This is not some kind of conversation thing. This is literally me just pouring what's in my brain about this out into a microphone, right? So it is what it is, right? Again, in terms of trade value, it's crazy good trade value. You're getting a really good, young, very cheap for the next 2 years, like dirt cheap for the next 2 years, on a rookie contract. It's really good. It's really good, but I don't think it answers the long-term problem. So take that for what you will. I understand a lot of people are going to hate me, and this is probably going to be one of those videos where I just get shit on in the comment section and people dislike and unsubscribe. It is what it is, right? I'm not going to follow the crowd just because that's what everybody's doing. I don't care. I'm going to tell you my thoughts. That's what I'm going to do. I'm going to be 100% transparent. And this is how I feel about this trade. So, who knows? We'll see. We'll see. But with that being said, I just want to throw this out here before I end. Regardless of how good the wide receiver room is for this next season, the Browns, in my opinion, should still draft at least one receiver. And at this point where you are picking first in the draft, I would hope a Marvin Mims would fall to you, and I would be all over that. Take him. That'd be awesome. But we're in an interesting spot. So, let me know your thoughts. I know this is going to, probably not be very popular opinion to most people. Like I said, I broke the golden rule. I disagreed with people on Twitter, but it is what it is. I think my opinion is just kind of misunderstood, because I'm going to say it again for the 80th time. I'm not mad that we got Elijah Moore. I'm very happy. I like Elijah Moore a lot. but I think there was a better option, and I think it would have been worth a price to pay if it was not crazy. Like I said, I'm not giving up a first. I'm not giving up Greg Newsome. So yeah, I kind of don't even want to upload this because knowing everything that people are saying already, I know it's not going to go well. But let me know your thoughts. So we'll see you in the next one. Go Browns.